Lights went out.
I'm the king. I'm the king. I'm the king. I'm the king. King Mo, yeah. King Mo, now off and on the track. King Mo, pour some down. Bean bow, beat the brakes off some. Bean bow.
And now, set to make his way to the cage, King Mo. While the crown has become a staple, Lawal's head has never been able to rest easy. He looks like a star, he acts like a star, he performs like a star, yet the brass ring that would match that golden crown has always eluded him. All-American wrestler in college, national champion of freestyle, a world-class striker, yet always seemingly second fiddle in the eyes of some. But a grand showcase over New Year's in that Rising tournament, you're looking at opened eyes as he was closing them. And reminding an MMA world it's always been a little quick to throw shade, and he may be ready to truly shine in 2016. Jimmy's keys to victory brought to you by AutoZone. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Well, one of his keys to victory, he's got to hurt Phil Davis early. He says Phil Davis tends to overreact to punches. He has to touch him early and make him feel his power advantage. Be efficient with the takedown. He can't waste a lot of energy going in trying to take Phil Davis down, hanging onto a single leg forever. If it's not easy, get out and start over.
We are obsessed sometimes as sports fans with the hypothetical. What if Ali and Tyson met in their prime here in the Bay Area? What if the Steph Curry Golden State Warriors could face the Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls? That rarest of sports moments, two fighters, two teams meeting at the height of their powers. And that is what we're looking at tonight with this inevitable collision of King Mo and this man, Phil Davis. Ready now to make his way to the cage, Phil, Mr. Wonderful Davis. Phil Davis has grown up in front of us, storied career ending with a national championship at Penn State, a run through the UFC that seemed to have him on a collision course with John Jones, with resume of top-tier opponents. Not a single one could finish him. Even his defection to Bellator, that was high profile. All of it has been. There's something about Phil Davis, something so pleasant, so easygoing about him as a person, it's disarming. But that same stuff, if you're his opponent fighting him, that's disconcerting. He talks like he's your best friend, then the door locks, and he's your worst enemy.
Yeah, he's got those two sides. I know him well. You know, we did a roll with Jimmy Peace with him. I hung out with him, been in the car with him, and then got on the mat with him. I was lucky to walk out with an arm attached. Unbelievable.
Jimmy's keys to victory brought to you by AutoZone. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Phil Davis, be unorthodox. He has a very herky-jerky kind of style. A lot of people have trouble timing him. He uses kicks at funny angles. Has to keep doing that. Stay at a distance. Very good with his legs. Very good with his kicks. He has to stay out of the power-punching distance of King Mo, because King Mo, I think, has the heavier hands.
Great story we talked to Phil Davis about the other day. After his first-round win over Emmanuel Newton, they ended up in the same locker room, so Phil Davis and King Mo could avoid each other before what we thought would be the title fight in that tournament. And Emmanuel Newton, in the most Emmanuel Newton story ever, started helping Phil Davis out and telling him different advice on how to beat King Mo. The tail of the tape in the main event is brought to you by Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports.
And you see what is highlighted? Absolutely nothing. The things separating these guys are inside their minds, not on paper.
One of the most anticipated fights in Bellator history. Main event time, Michael C. Williams time. Ladies and gentlemen, live on Spike, Miller Lite presents Bellator MMA from SAP Center in San Jose. The time has come for the main event of the evening to determine the #1 title contender. We're set
for 3 5-minute rounds in the light heavyweight division. Sanctioned by the California State Athletic Commission, Commissioner John Carvelli, Chair. At cage side, Executive Officer Andy Foster. Tonight's main event is brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light beer. It's Miller time. And now, introducing the blue corner. At 6 foot, weighing in 205.4 pounds, just off the impressive tournament championship, the former world title holder tonight enters with 19 professional victories and 4 defeats. He fights out of Las Vegas, Nevada. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing King Mo. And across the cage, his adversary, fighting out of the red corner. At 6'1", weighing in 205.9 pounds. After a 2-victory tournament-winning Bellator debut, he returns tonight with 15 professional victories, just 3 defeats. Fighting out of San Diego, California, presenting Phil, Mr. Wonderful Davis. In charge of the action, your referee, Big John McCarthy.
Protect yourself at all times, obey my commands. I'll talk to you once you fight clean, fight hard, but fight fair. Good luck to both of you. Thank you.
The 4 words we've been waiting for.
Here we go. You ready? You ready? Get up.
Fight clock in the main event, brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light beer. Cheers, it's Miller time.
One thing King Mo said over and over about Phil Davis is he gives up ground. If you push forward, he goes backward. I'm going to push forward in this fight. Let's see if he does.
The 3 fights Phil Davis lost. Rashad Evans against Rumble, against Ryan Bader. His takedowns were stuffed. That was the one common theme in those 3 fights. And you see Phil Davis immediately backing away from trouble.
I really took away from the Rumble Johnson fight is even when you don't land, just like that, when he blocks a punch, he still flies backward, he still moves his head. A lot of punches look like they land when they don't. The judges don't have replays like we do. They don't have this on HD. They're seeing it live. If you move your head like that, a lot of times they think something landed.
You know, as you said, Phil Davis only 3 losses, the 3 I just mentioned, all by decision. Think about some of the guys he has been in with, and he has never been stopped. Some of the guys that those fighters have stopped. Legendary names, and yet didn't get close to finishing Phil Davis.
See the awkwardness of his style. Never know exactly where he's going to be. The problem is against a style like Phil Davis, it's hard to time one shot. You got to throw in combination. His last few fights, King Mo has been more of a one-punch kind of fighter.
Mo shaking off that kick from Phil Davis. We're back with you next Friday night. The middleweight world title will be on the line. You don't blink when Melvin Manoff is in the Bellator cage, and he has a chance to win his first world title, a first defense. Rafael Carvalho, and you saw the tweet earlier from Georgie Karahanyan with his best friend Syed Awad scoring that first round knockout win over Cyborg Santos. And he'll be back in the Bellator cage against Pat Curran.
You just saw a right hand with a shifting left hook, just like he hit Carmel with. Mo pointed that out when we talked to him. He said, Phil loves that move, and I'm ready for it.
You've talked about this. The intellectual nature of the fighter, King Mo. His boxing IQ, his fighter IQ is off the chart.
Unbelievably smart, and he doesn't get enough credit for it. Everybody talks about his athleticism, but his fight IQ very high.
His general IQ is pretty high, but his fight IQ is ridiculous.
Yeah, very high. Mo and I many times have talked about old wrestling matches, old fights. You can keep up with the best of them.
These are the fights that you have wanted to see. The age, the era of the intramural is over.
Mozu going to the body. The head moves, the body doesn't necessarily.
Oh, caught that kick from Phil Davis. The things that normally work for Phil Davis haven't yet, but he's an extraordinarily patient fighter.
And let's not forget a gifted athlete with a great gas tank. Don't expect him to run out of juice. See that once again, that shift. He throws and he shifts to his right. A lot of times he'll throw the left hook behind that. Strafing left hook.
Those of you just wandering by, you have stumbled into one of the most anticipated fights in Bellator history. Phil Davis on the right, King Mo on the left. At stake, the #1 contender spot in the light heavyweight division. Champion Liam McGeary, not only joining us earlier, most champions are like, well, I don't know who's going to win. They'll just filibuster. He said he picked King Mo in this fight. Give him credit for coming out strong with an opinion, particularly a minority opinion.
One thing about King Mo, he tends to leave his hands dangerously low. He gives you a lot of offensive opportunities with the way he carries his hands. Depends a lot on his read and react ability more than he does with his standard defense, hands high. Doesn't do that very much.
Well, it's just been one of those fighters. People, again, the unorthodox drive in by Phil Davis. It's easily turned away by King Mo. With Mo, they like to talk more about the 4 losses than they do the 19 wins.
Mo's a guy people love to hate. Let's say it. I mean, people get emotional about the guy, which he's very aware of that.
And he plays the role brilliantly. But it's interesting that people focus more on the role and not the content of the fighter.
Phil's had some success with the jab. You see there, swinging with the lead hand. Hasn't thrown combinations off of it yet, though. More been measuring range than he has been throwing a lot of strikes.
Round 1 stays entirely on the feet. Phil Davis doesn't get frustrated, but hasn't been able to get inside.
Always looking good.
He's got
Always
the look.
Looking good.
Liam McGeary, who he came in to Dynamite with the belt, but he left as the champion when he beat Tito Ortiz here in September.
The British, always suave. James Bond thing going.
Liam McGeary will certainly be there. Won't be able to fight July 16th in London, but what a reception he is going to get when we get to the O2 Arena.
Phil Davis's style in this second round might depend on whether or not he thinks he lost the first round. He thinks he's behind.
Do you think he lost the first round?
Yeah, barely, yes. I gave it to King Mo 10-9. Just a little more effective with his punches. Phil Davis basically measuring distance the whole time.
King Mo has caught that leg on several occasions, and this time he chooses to take it to the ground.
With their standard wrestling escape, standard folk-style stand-up escape, and he's out. That's what I meant about stay efficient. It's hard to hold these guys down. You don't want to spend a whole lot of energy doing that.
Talked about someone under the radar at welterweight with that loss for Brennan Ward. Douglas Lima has a fight against Chidi Njokuani coming up in Fresno next month. He wins that fight, he's right back in the mix for Andre Koreshkov.
Yeah, injuries have been the case for him. Been dogged by them, learned to get his body back in shape, then he's a contender.
Justin Wren been wearing out that Twitter account all night. Can't wait to see him back in the Bellator cage. Just completed another visit back to his Hutu Pygmy tribe. Incredible story.
I'm really surprised that Phil Davis isn't staying behind the jab a little bit more. You see those right hand leads, a lot of kicks, it's great, but he's having success with the jab, but not using it consistently and not doing enough behind it. Mo's relying, like we thought he would, more on power punches.
Fans are getting restless, but in so many ways, this is really what we expected.
Yeah, everybody in the know expected this kind of fight. The nut shot right there. Kind of push kick, toes caught him.
Is that one of the technical terms you've been teaching me a lot?
Yes, yes, push kick, nut shot. They're not supposed to go together, just so you know.
Remember, you have 5 minutes to spend here if you're the official.
Now some
5 minutes to give.
Matt.
What King Mo did with 3 wins in 2 days in Tokyo, and those were heavyweights that he beat.
Guys with radically different styles and builds every single time, and heavyweights. Can't overstate that.
This is the first time since the Czech Congo fight 15 months ago he's been prepared to fight one guy at one night.
Yeah. Power punches. He likes the right, straight right, and the left hook. Also goes to the body well, but generally power shots. Doesn't throw a lot of jabs. Hardly ever throws a kick.
Phil Davis, who's the hardest guy to ever hit him, and he, no hesitation, he says Alex Gustafsson, both in training and in the fight that they had. But Phil Davis is a hard guy to hit.
And that's one reason, the crowd kind of getting restless. Mo knows how hard he is to hit, so he's got to really time his shots. He's not being super busy. He's trying to line up that one power punch.
Tried the little combination there for the first time. Mo loves to give the fans a show, but he's not going to take unnecessary chances here. And this fight was so much on the line.
And we also talked about his fight IQ. He's not going to let the crowd influence him. Leaping body shot. Oh, kick once again to the nuts.
And we got the size disparity between the two. Phil Davis, who knocked out Francis Carmont with that leaping left, has been trying to lead with the legs.
Which is a good strategy. He just hasn't been as busy as I thought he would be. Going back to leg over and over again, sticking behind the jab, and something he could really, put numbers behind. He's been kind of a one-shot fighter so far in this. Mo's going to win that kind of contest. You have to outland Mo. Phil's been a little too judicious with his strikes. Needs to really let him go. Nice right hand by Mo.
We've seen Phil Davis against some of the elite in the world, and when he gets into the ground, it is clinic. And he hasn't come close to figuring out how to get Mo down there.
Because they both know how hard it is to take the other down. They both have an appreciation for that. Yeah, Phil Davis, you can say national champion. King Mo missed the national finals by 1 point against Damian Hahn, the eventual champion. 1 point separates you from semifinals to champion. That's it.
It's basically downhill skiing. That's how close it is.
Good job with the right hand by Mo. Good job by Phil Davis, circling out, starting to find his offensive rhythm.
Mo has not been frustrated yet by this herky-jerky style of Phil Davis. No wonder now Mo's been shaking off those kicks from Phil Davis since the start. Now we're through two. This is one of the coolest things I saw leading up to this fight. The comic book covers, great use of social media from Bellator. And we have about ready to turn to the final page of this comic book and see who advances to face Liam McGeary, the light heavyweight world title.
King Mo has not lost confidence in his power punches. Nice kick, though.
Phil Davis trying to use misdirection against a guy who's very difficult to fool.
But in a fight like this, misdirection only lasts for a split second, half a second. You have to take advantage of those times. And there are times when he does catch, King Mo kind of off balance, but he's not throwing combinations afterward.
Through two.
I have it 2 rounds to none for King Mo. Last round very close, and Phil Davis finished strong. But once again, I thought King Mo landed the sharper punches throughout, but I wouldn't feel safe about this scorecard if I were either guy.
The fights he has lost, Phil Davis hasn't really shown that other gear to go to late when he was trailing.
I would say the same thing of King Mo in his fight. His decision loss to Emmanuel Newton just never kind of went, oh man, I'm behind, I really got to turn it on. The winner of this fight just might need that gear in this last half round. They said no real attempts in the clinch, no real level changes. They both know just not a good expenditure of energy to really try for a takedown. Wow, this has been a kickboxing match.
Oh, it's clearly outlanded Phil Davis. Half-hearted attempt at a level change. I haven't seen a lot of plan B here from Phil Davis.
I haven't seen a lot from King Mo, but I think plan A has basically been working.
Plan A has been working.
Need one. Nice right
shot
hand.
of the fight. Wobbles King Mo. Phil Davis finally got one in.
And a fight he was controlling. Now King Mo fighting to survive.
It took him 13 minutes to land that shot. Does he have enough time to come from behind and win it?
Bear in mind, King Mo has never won a fight by submission.
He's never lost a fight by submission either.
Classic wrestling ride. From a boxing match to a wrestling match. King Mo trying to escape, trying to use that stand-up escape. Same one Phil Davis using. Phil Davis keeps him down.
And when Phil Davis gets you here, there's usually nowhere you're going to go. The question is Phil Davis down 2 rounds to none?
That seatbelt grip he just used is his favorite. Now going for the Kimura. That's his bread and butter. Hands are locked up, but he's trapped in half guard. He's still going for it. Now inside control. Stepping over for the armbar. Can he get it? This is everything right here.
Into the final minute.
And he's out.
That's why King Mo has never been submitted.
Man, 9 times out of 10, that's a tap. And King Mo's still in this fight, but he's in big trouble.
And everything that worked for Phil Davis before has not worked for him now.
Leaping left hook by King Mo. He's still throwing, ladies and gentlemen.
High drama in minute 15.
Phil Davis, like King Mo said, giving up ground.
Phil Davis has finished some of the best in the world from that exact same spot, but King Mo is back where he started, on his feet. As we reach the final bell. And Liam McGarry, like the rest of us, saluting an extraordinary final 2 minutes.
Neither fighter, neither camp can feel good about the scorecards. The first 2 rounds, very, very close, especially the second.
A Blackheart replay brought to you by Blackheart Premium Spice Rum, the bold 93 proof rum that's edgy to the core.
Right hand right on the chin, wobbled King Mo, uppercut behind it. Bang, and look at the legs of King Mo. They go out from under him. He is wobbled, he is hurt, and Phil Davis made the tactical choice of takedown, ground and pound, submission attempt, going for the Kimura. And look at Phil Davis transitioning to the armbar and this Kimura right here. I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, this fight is over, but King Mo able to get out, able to power his way out. Definitely his round, though. This was the step over that released the pressure on his shoulder. Great end to this fight.
You're on the Bellator mobile app. Vote for the winner. We want to know what you think. Who won this fight between King Mo and Phil Davis? Let me ask you this question. Phil Davis instinctively has finished so many guys that way. Could he have finished King Mo without taking him to the ground?
if he loses this fight,
that'll be the question.
that would be the question. Could I have stayed on my feet and gotten the knockout finish? Because he chose the takedown.
The stakes couldn't be any higher. Michael C. Williams holds in his hands the official decision and the future of these two.
Ladies and gentlemen, having gone the distance, we'll go to your 3 cage-side judges. Your first judge, Derek Cleary, scores the fight 29-28, while judges Marcos Rosales and Michael Bell both see the fight the same at 30-27. I'll have it for the winner by unanimous decision. Now, having earned his world title shot, Phil, Mr. Wonderful Davis.
That is a decision that will be discussed. But Phil Davis gets his 3rd win inside the Bellator cage. He now will face Liam McGeary, but first he'll face off with Jimmy Smith.
Phil, a crazy fight with a crazy finish. 9 times out of 10, that Kimura's the end of the fight. He was able to get out and keep going. What were you thinking when it got back to the feet?
Oh man, you know, once I got to it, I was like, oh, for sure you got this. Relax, take your time, and I should have had a little bit more urgency. Get in there nice and tight, so I slept on that.
The timing throughout this fight, he came in with power punches, you fighting from the outside. How did it feel to you? Do you ever feel you never seemed comfortable in this fight? Is that how it felt?
Well, you know, you got to be careful with a guy like Mo. He's so powerful and he's very explosive. So even though he may be tired, he's never too tired for another overhand right.
Now, of course, this earns you a shot at this man, the champ, Liam McGeary. I want to know what you thought of this performance, because it's you next.
Well, I believe it was we were stood in this very cage the last time you said this to me. You did all right, but I think you could do a little bit better. Mate, you stand up, you don't like being hit. I hope you stand up like that with me, because, man, I'm knocking you out. Definitely, definitely.
What do you say to that?
To that I say, good luck.
USA versus England for the light heavyweight title. Liam McGeary versus Phil Davis. Give it up for